Hi guys, this is Udos, and I'm here to tell you that I'm starting my own podcast. So this is it right here. I thought, why not? I might as well do it this year. Let me just start my own podcast. So this is the first episode, and I thought this is probably the best way for you guys to know me better. And why don't I just kind of talk about myself, my background, where I'm from, and all that good stuff, so that basically more about who I am. So here we go. I'm basically Iranian. I was born in Iran and I grew up in Sweden. And I was raised in Sweden all the way until I was 22. And then I went to the US, which was San Diego. And in San Diego, I went to a school called San Diego State for marketing and advertising. And also, prior to this, I went to Stockholm University for marketing and advertising. So basically, I got a master's degree in marketing. So, and advertising, obviously. But yeah, so I did that. And between all of this craziness, between going to Stockholm, San Diego, I also decided to move to Vancouver for 1 year. So I also took some classes there and also worked. And when I was in Vancouver, I kind of stumbled on like acting, and I got some acting gigs there. And I really didn't think it was anything crazy because it seemed pretty easy to me at that time. But yeah, it was very difficult when I came to LA and understanding everything, how everything worked. But when I was in Vancouver, I actually had a lot of success in that whole acting department and modeling. And I never thought that I could ever model because growing up in Sweden, I was always told like, oh, you're not blonde, you're not blue eye, you're not tall, you're not skinny, you don't have big boobs, this and that. So I was exactly the opposite of what was the ideal considered beauty over there, right? So I thought that that was cool. Wow, people thought I was beautiful or pretty or whatnot. And, I just kind of started getting into modeling there too. So then fast forward, when I was done in Vancouver, I moved back to San Diego, and I ended up doing the whole MBA. I finished it all there and it was all done, right? So when I was done, I decided, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to start an online marketing company and I'll just market companies online, basically. And so I got a lot of success with that. I did a plenty of marketing for different companies and promoting them online and all that good stuff. And while I was doing that, I just felt like, well, I feel like I could do more. Why don't I just move into LA and I could pursue my acting? I could, follow my dreams more and make that happen. So I decided to move to LA. And when that happened, it was crazy because I moved into like a 1 bedroom apartment. I had roaches and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I was up one night just killing roaches, like with a DVD called War. By the way, I like went through all of my DVD collection and I had like Goodfellas, Casino, like all of the good mob movies, A Bronx Tale and all that good stuff. And the only DVD that I was like, I could kill the roaches with this DVD was the War DVD. I know, sorry, Jason Statham and or Statham, Ham or Statham. I don't know, however you say his last name, and Jet Li. But like I wasn't a big fan of the movie. But anyways, so I killed all these roaches all night, and that was my introduction to Los Angeles. And then I was like, okay, well, I think this can't get possibly worse than this. I only had a mattress and a bunch of roaches living with me in a 1 bedroom apartment in Los Angeles. So I guess the only way is up, right? So while I was doing that, I moved to LA and I lived in that apartment. I started working with different companies. I started doing like social media marketing and online marketing. So, and I also took actually a class for directing and editing. And so when I took that class, I was referred to that class by John Singleton, which also discovered me. And he was like, oh my God, you're so talented. I love your work, this and that. So I was like, okay, this is super cool. It's like, super no, well-known and respected director thinks that I'm funny and I'm this and I'm that, right? So I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I actually told him, I'm like, well, because he told me that I was funny, right? So he's like, oh my God, you're so funny. And I was like, really? You think I'm funny because you never laugh at my jokes? And he's like, oh, well, I don't need to because you laugh at your own jokes. And then he said, number one rule in comedy, never laugh at your own jokes, which, obviously I failed. So he told me, you know what, you should take up more classes about acting and comedy and directing and editing, and just so you know more about it and so you could pursue it better, right? So I'm like, that's a good idea. So he referred me to Groundlings, where a lot of Saturday Night Live people went to, like Will Ferrell and all of the big names, basically, that went to Saturday Night Live. So I went to Groundlings, and I also took that directing and editing class, like I said. And one of the projects that we had was that it was like a social experiment. So we had to go out and do something in the social environment, right? That was like out of character kind of thing. So for some reason, I decided, oh, okay, this is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna be a crackhead at a gas station. So I dressed up as a crackhead, and I went up to a gas station, to cars, and cleaning their windshields and begging for money and all that stuff. And I honestly had no idea that this would happen to me. It was actually very funny the whole time, but I actually was like really feeling like, wow, these people are really like not wanting to deal with me. This is horrible. So I started crying, right? And I uploaded this, and I went to my directing class and editing class, and I showed them that, and they were like, oh my God, you need to upload this to YouTube, this is so funny. And I thought, like, okay, well, this is going to be a dramatic moment because they're going to see me be really upset and I'm a crackhead and all this other stuff. So this is going to be a very sentimental moment for everybody. But I was wrong. Like, everybody just thought it was even funnier when I cried and I was sad. So they were like, okay, well, post this onto YouTube. So I did that, and that got me discovered by Funny or Die. So I started working with Funny or Die, which is Will Ferrell's company. And when I did that, I met a bunch of like great people to collab with and work with and all that good stuff. And then I went on later on after that to What the Funny, which is Marlon Wayans' company. And I started writing and, promoting them and doing their socials and all that good stuff. So after doing that for a while, I was like, you know what? Why don't I just do this for myself? I'm doing this for all these other companies. And I could just do it for myself, and who knows, maybe like a casting director or something will like see my work, and something like that, right, where I would get more work out of it. Little did I know that it was going to be like a job of its own, and it's going to be like this whole platform, and there was going to be something called influencers. Like, I had no idea about any of that. My goal was always, in the traditional media. That's what I've done in the past. I had legit acting jobs and modeling gigs. I've been in print magazines and yeah, all that good stuff. I'm on IMDb. So yeah, so I basically started doing that for myself, growing my own social media followers. And what I did was that I started collabing with a lot of YouTube stars and Viners, or whatever you want to call it, the old school Viners, and Instagram people and rappers and artists and, just celebrities in general. And it really took off. So what I knew was that, a lot of people have a very difficult time with women in comedy for some reason. So I knew, okay, well, if I'm going to be a woman in comedy, I have to do the whole sexy, funny thing. So I started doing that, and it was like people loved it. Like it's never really been done the way it was done on social media, I feel like. So, and a lot of people, like, they came up to me that were women. They were like, "Oh my God, I'm a big fan. Like, you made me start wanting to start doing comedy and all that good stuff." So basically, I grew my social media following, and now here we are, millions of followers later, and it just kind of took off. And as I was saying, I was doing like sketch comedy, so it was all video content type of comedy, right? So, I was getting called out by a lot of people. Why don't you do stand-up comedy and this and that? And I was so terrified about it first. I was so scared about doing like stand-up comedy at first, but I actually took another class called Pretty Funny Women, and I started doing stand-up. I started going out to open mics. I started, putting out a set together or whatnot. So I did that, and I went to like the comedy stores, Flappers, and like all of the big comedy places here in LA. And I actually did good, which I was kind of like, oh yeah, okay, I could do this. This is awesome. This is fun. And then I started thinking to myself, do I really want to travel and like tour on a comedy tour right now? And I was like, I don't know if I want that exactly. I want to just, work more here in LA on my stuff before I start doing something like that. So I just kind of put that on a little back burner, but it's still there. I still got my like 20 or 30 minutes of comedy sets that I still want to post to you guys so you could see my stand-up comedy. And I did good and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. So now, moving forward, I did a short film, and the short film is about something called Hacked. And basically, it's about a hacker that hacks people, and basically mostly women, obviously, and destroys their life with private images and videos. So I wanted to do that and bring awareness to people about that current issue. And technology is such a big problem right now. So, and the justice system, they don't really have specific laws in place against digital kind of crime. So I was like, this is very current, and the laws are so outdated, and I need to bring awareness to it. So let me just do that. So that short film did great. It got like 20 awards, which I'm really proud of. And now it's just I'm pursuing other things, like I'm trying to change the law and all this other stuff, which I will get into my next episode on my podcast. That will be very revealing, by the way, and very like intimate too. So yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see that, because you will hear about all of my truth and all of the good stuff, like, and bad stuff, and the horrible and like just devastating, like it's so crazy. But you will basically hear about everything from myself, instead of news outlets or people on social media or people in the comments or whatever you want to call it, like anyone that's just talking and they don't really know what they're talking about. You will find out what really happened from me, myself. So make sure you check out my next podcast, because it will be like a deep one, and it's a lot of heavy information, which is also juicy, and like you need to hear it because it's important. So yeah. So basically, I think that was it for my first podcast. If you guys have any more questions about me, just feel free to comment, and let me know what you guys want to know more about me, and then I'll take it from there, and I'll probably just do a new podcast about it. So thank you guys, and I love you so much, and thanks for listening in. I appreciate it. All right, bye.